Hello everyone, my name is Nick and welcome to another episode of Scene Science. Where I break down exceptional scenes in film and television to explain what makes them so effective. The best scenes convey information far beyond the text of the script, and that's what brings the story to life. Sound, motion, set design, lighting, editing, and more all contribute to the language of a film, separating the unforgettable from the mildly memorable. Scenes can offer conclusions to well-designed questions, pivotal moments of character realization, or, as is the case with today's video, a meticulous construction of political persuasion. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subbing to the channel. I look forward to deep diving into some of my favorite scenes in cinema, and I'd love to hear your suggestions for the scenes you guys think that I should dissect in the future. Let me know in the comments below what you think I should do for future videos. Today we're going to look at Andor, a television series in the spy thriller genre set in the Star Wars universe as a prequel to the 2015 film Rogue One. Acclaimed screenwriter Tony Gilroy of Michael Clayton and Bourne Identity fame returned from screenwriting on Rogue One as creator and showrunner for Andor. Diego Luna and Genevieve O'Reilly reprised their film roles, and the cast added new talent like Stellan Skarsgård, Kyle Soller, and more. The show premiered on Disney Plus on September 21st, 2022 to generally positive reviews. The series follows the backstory of Cassian Andor before joining the rebellion about 5 years before the events of Rogue One occurred. Although the detailing in Cassian's story is brilliant, today we're actually going to focus on another character who dates all the way back to 1983's Return of the Jedi. Woven throughout the first season in conjunction with Cassian's story is an arc describing the players and process of creating a functioning and practical rebellion. We're introduced to characters from all strata within this rebellion, but in this particular scene, we'll focus on Mon Mothma, Chandrillan native and member of the Galactic Senate. She lives among the social elite on Coruscant with her husband, Perrin, and their daughter, Leia. Prior to this scene, we understand Mon's position within the rebellion to be that of both inside man and financier of sorts. Through her political and social influence, she has been able to launder personal and donated funds through various charities and into rebellion hands. Increased imperial scrutiny of banking records has made the movement of funds more difficult, and she is forced to seek new avenues to gain financial fluidity. This is where we'll open, as Mon Mothma entertains former Chandrillan schoolmate Tay Kolma at a social event she's hosting on Coruscant. There's a couple of things to note immediately as we cut into this scene. First and most obvious is the set design, where it's quite clear by Earth-human standards that this is indeed high society. Beyond our previous working knowledge of the senator's home, we can tell this is high society by the fashion of the guests, the variety of guests, which includes high-ranking military, and the architecture of the space. Second, the filmmaking choices in these first few moments set up the intention of the rest of the scene. We open with a handheld tracking shot behind Mon Mothma, cut to a front-facing shot with the camera tracking backwards, and continue to follow the subject before returning to the original angle. The rest of the scene is going to pitter-patter in this same cadence, with the overall effect being that of a real-time one-shot, but utilizing multiple types of shots and cuts to emphasize different ideas. We're never cutting forward or backward within time in the scene, just changing the viewer's perspective on what's happening in real time.
Sorry we're not having dinner. How long are you staying?
I'm back to Chandrilla tomorrow.
I haven't been home all year.
You haven't missed much.
I've missed you. You always seem to be away when I'm there.
The intimacy of our perspective relative to Tay and Mon suggests a privilege of the audience. We are listening in on something that is not meant to be heard by anyone else.
I'm not that hard to find, Mon, not for a senator.
You're right. I've been a poor friend.
No, that's not what I meant.
I love this cut here to the wide shot of the duo entering the dining space. The high ceilings, cascading chandelier, and decadent spread are filling out the world for us. Every detail is in its place. Notice that all of the food plates on the table are full and completely untouched. This is to maintain the spectacle of perfection. Only the food brought about by servants is meant for consumption. Additionally, all along the left of the frame are other, similar conversations to Tay's and Mon's. 3 small groups are each animated in their own discussions, groups that will likely change throughout the course of the evening as guests make their way about the party. Our distant perspective, looking long down the room towards them, illustrates how no one would be any the wiser of 2 guests having a small chat in this environment. Both the party itself and their prior friendship are plenty enough cover for a conversation on more perilous topics.
Life takes us where it will. You've become all this all these years. We're both a long way from where we started.
Have I changed so much?
We've all had to adapt.
Immediately evident, too, is the quality of the dialogue in the entire scene. It does an excellent job of illustrating the emotions or intents of the characters in a way that feels natural to them. Never at any point does it feel like either of the characters is talking to the audience, explaining something in such a way as to make sure that the audience understands, even if it wouldn't make any sense for them to explain it to their peers in the same fashion. It truly feels as though we are eavesdropping on a fully realized conversation, not an expositional piece intended to move the plot along and add a bit of character development, although that's exactly what this is.
Is it that bad?
I just can't imagine living here, Mom. Like this. Coruscant. No escape.
Just this glimpse of what it's like here, what you have to do.
Can be challenging.
You carry it gracefully.
Can I trust you, Tay?
We learn of Tay's distaste for politics and the necessity of putting on airs to survive in such company, and this opens a door for Mon to probe.
Can I call back our old kinship and share some truth with you?
Mother?
Leader, remember my daughter?
Of course.
This is Tay Coma, one of my oldest friends.
How do you do?
Enter Leda, Mon Mothma's daughter, and our first 3-shot of the scene to entertain this interruption.
You've met before. Bank of Coma, you know, Adrene and Martha from back home?
My sisters.
I'm not sure.
It's been a long time and you've certainly grown up.
So everyone says.
Typical banker, no one pays me to be original.
Father said I needed to ask you if I may be excused.
Yes. You're excused.
Lovely seeing you again.
Yes. Have fun, Mother.
Another part of the challenge.
It's a difficult age.
Leda exits, and the camera slowly drifts back to the 2-shot as we cut to a different angle and the pair continue. This shot here hammers home the idea that we are not meant to be privy to this conversation. The camera is positioned behind another group of guests that are out of focus in the foreground, with our full focus still on Tay and Mon in a very hidden camera point of view. The handheld tracking continues, and the staccato of our subject's movement is important to the pacing of the scene.
I've spent a great deal of time thinking about this conversation, Tay. I want to tell you something that only 3 people in the galaxy know about.
Why would you want to do that?
A 6-minute effective one-shot can be a slog, especially when the focus of the scene is all dialogue. It's important that we bounce around the party, cut between moving and static shots, and have moments of interjection from other guests to keep the scene fresh and propel it forward. If we had 6 straight minutes of conversation between these 2 characters only, the audience would lose interest. This pacing not only keeps the audience invested, but it gives Genevieve O'Reilly the opportunity to show Mon Mothma's many faces as she interacts with different folks in her circle.
Because I need your help. And I'm hoping I can trust you.
Is this personal or political?
Political?
Then I'd suggest you hesitate.
Another brilliant shot here, perpetuating the forbidden nature of our spying with another hidden camera angle. I love how Mon sort of glances over in our direction, a nervousness that one would expect to show in this situation. She's about to reveal information that could effectively end her life if the wrong party learned of it, but luckily for Mon, her probing reveals a potential willing participant in Tay.
Why?
Like I said, we've both changed. I've done more than grow weary of the Empire. I'm afraid you'd find my politics a bit strong for your taste. Your world is inescapably linked to the Empire. You're with these people all the time. I'm not sure you're aware how far afield some of us have taken our political allegiances these days. sorry, I think I've had a bit too much of Perrin's MC punch.
He expresses that his anti-imperial politics may be a bit too strong for her taste, unknowing that this was the exact answer she had been hoping for. Actor Ben Miles, who portrays Tay Colma, has a great rapport with O'Reilly. It's very believable that these two have a history together. The tempo of their conversation feels very natural, and the subtleties in their expressions and intonation are very convincing. Mon, now more assured and continuing down this conversational path, flips the script on Tay, who goes from believing he'd been mistaken in his revelations to finding a most anticipatory audience instead.
Drink up. Drink up, Tay, and keep smiling, as if we're having a happy chat about childhood days.
I'm not sure I understand.
No, you don't.
The scene continues with the same staccato move and pause visuals, but the tone of the conversation changes dramatically.
Do you see what people say about me? It's a clear picture, isn't it? I'm a polite, sometimes indecisive senator who spends the days fighting and failing to protect separatist do-gooders, battle empire overreach, and irritation, as you so harshly put it.
I've made you angry.
No, you set me free. I've been wondering all day how I could be sure of confiding in you.
I don't know what we're talking about.
The score begins to come in delicately but eerily in the background, layering on a tiny blanket of unease over the scene. The camera pushes in very, very slowly on our duo, emphasizing the confidentiality of the moment while giving us a better look at the subtleties in the subjects' faces.
It's a lie. The Mon Mothma people think they know. It's a lie. It's a projection. It's a front. Smile. I've learnt from Palpatine. If I show you the stone in my hand, you miss the knife at your throat.
Where's this going, Mon?
The editing of this scene is masterful as we continue with the cuts, depicting this as one long, uninterrupted conversation with precision continuity. Although we're almost always in the medium 2 shot, the variations in camera placement and movement keep the scene visually interesting, while the sharpness of the dialogue keeps the audience on pins and needles.
Grand Vizier has infiltrated my separatist coalition meetings. My driver is an ISB plant and reports on my secret humanitarian programs. I know they watch me, and I want that. Because as long as everyone thinks I'm an irritation, there's a good chance they'll miss what I'm really doing.
What are you really doing?
Raising money.
For the first time in over 4 minutes, we finally take a seat, a visual cue to let the audience know the seriousness of this portion of the conversation while exiling our characters to a little enclave away from the bulk of the party. For the first time in the scene, we get true close-ups, cutting back and forth between over-the-shoulder shots. The intimacy of these shots give both of our actors a chance to shine, displaying every little emotional subtlety in their performances. Tay Colma's face betrays a sense of concern and unease, with a hint of intrigue, while Mons depicts a scared determination. The dialogue continues to be sharp and in line with what we might expect from these characters in this situation. The conversation feels authentic. They're not spelling stuff out to the audience, although the lines are doing a lot of heavy lifting in the expository department.
I need to access my family accounts. Until recently, I was able to dip in and out of my family fortune without concern. That's changed. I need help.
Raising money for what?
I'm forming a Chandrilan charitable outreach program. I'll ask you to be chairman. It will involve visits here to Coruscant. It will appear to be another of my benevolent and useless irritations. I've explored the alternatives. You're my best shot.
You haven't answered my question.
And I won't. You're better off not knowing. Or perhaps you find my politics a bit strong for your taste.
Mon finally lays out her plan and request of Tay. For him to take the reins of a new charitable foundation, one of many for Mon, which she will use to raise more funds. Given the nature and direction of the conversation to this point, it is understood that these funds are meant to be used in some sort of anti-imperial fashion, but how exactly is left intentionally vague by Mon Mothma. The way that she flips Tay's line about strong politics is delivered to perfection by O'Reilly, with a certain cold seriousness in her eyes of someone who understands the stakes. She is learning the strength of will required to achieve the rebellion's vision.
Perrin's on his way over. He knows none of this. He's not to be trusted. Smile?
Her change in demeanor upon husband Perrin's arrival is also played to perfection as she throws on her fake smile with ease. But the genius is in the sense of fear that still lingers in her eyes, subtle enough to go unnoticed by passerby, but present enough to be unnerving to those in the know.
There you are. Reminiscing, are we? School days?
Are we that predictable?
There's a reunion coming up.
Oh, don't remind me.
She pretends not to care, but we both know better, don't we?
It was ever thus.
May I steal her back? There's a few guests that require special handling.
Of course.
To be continued.
The score dissipates slowly, relieving the layer of unease as facades change to meet the new demand. The camera lingers on Tay Kolma, with a wealth of new information to mull over that has far-reaching implications. Mon returns to the party to glad hand guests, relieved to have had as willing an audience as she could have hoped for. The brilliance of Andor is the way in which it weaves its character stories together. We're not just learning about Cassian's origins within the rebellion, but the very formation of the rebellion itself. We're watching the convergence of many different arms and flavors of rebellion come together into something formidable. Where the original trilogy explains the why of the rebellion, Andor explains the how. The layers and scale of organization needed to combat an entity like the Empire are not pieced together overnight. How did they pay for all those X-Wings and the other supplies? How did they recruit soldiers? Who decides who's in charge? All of these questions are created by the stories told in the original trilogy, but to answer them within those films would encumber the stories being told. What the original Star Wars did so well was to make us believe in the existence of the universe without explaining every last detail, so that we could explore the rich tapestry that existed just beyond the screenplays themselves. This scene from Andor does everything that the original films did in terms of world building, while being packed with expository details that somehow don't get lost in the density of the dialogue. The set design, costuming, and acting are all meticulously crafted in a way that lets us focus on the conversation, because we're never distracted by the fake reality of any other part of the scene. The pacing of every aspect of this sequence is carefully constructed to keep us invested in the dialogue without getting bored or distracted. The characters frequently move, then pause, then move again. New characters cut in and interrupt conversations, hanging around just long enough to leave us wanting to return to the real discussion, but not so long that we lose interest in it. These choices are realistic given the social setting, but conveniently work as a method to keep the audience engaged in a way that two people at a table for 6 minutes might not. The editing is impeccable, maintaining the illusion of one continuous scene for 6 straight minutes. It bounces around between shots in a way that moves the scene along and conveys the intentions of the director. When you have someone as experienced as Tony Gilroy at the helm, with as coherent a vision as Andor had, you get a cohesion between all aspects of the production that results in the quality you see here. It's my opinion that Rogue One is the most quality Star Wars film made to date, and that Andor is the most quality project they've made, period. It's not everyone's cup of tea, and it's not always fun in the way that many Star Wars projects are meant to be, but it's a great example of the different sorts of stories that can be told within this universe. It's a testament to the richness of George Lucas's world, and an example of how Star Wars can achieve another 50 years of longevity or more by using different genres to tell new stories. That's all I have for today's episode. If you enjoyed this content, please hit that thumbs up down there. I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite scenes are and which you think I should dissect next. And if you're subbed to the channel, you won't miss new episodes that might feature exactly what you asked for. Thanks everyone, and have a great day, and we'll see you next episode on Scene Science.